and welcome back to another episode of the Property Source of Success Show. So really what I want to talk to you guys about today is what you need to be aware of. And this is probably less on the tactical property side of things. This is probably less on the strategic side of things when it comes to building a property business and scaling your property portfolio or your portfolio building business. And it's really more of a things you need to be aware of as you grow and as you scale, because it will get uncomfortable at times. And I entitled the podcast tonight, Beware of Peeping Toms and Naysayers. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you guys about. If there's one thing that doing well for myself has taught me over the last number of years, is that not everyone is okay with it. And please keep in mind that everybody's notion of what doing well is and looks like is completely different. So what doing well to one person is might be dog to somebody else. But if there's one thing that elusive doing well for myself has taught me over the last number of years, is that sometimes it really fucking upsets people. Making a decision to better yourself, to risk the norm and breach what your social circle, whether that's virtual or in person, deem as acceptable. Levels of doing well can come with a host of new revelations, guys, that if I'm really honest, I actually never saw coming. So if you have been getting my emails, and again, if you're relatively new to the community, you might be interested to know that every day of the week, Monday through to Friday, I send out our daily email blog. It's all things property sourcing, portfolio building, working with investors, and the emails are designed to help you stay ahead of the trend and to help you grow your business. And if the free stuff is good, I'm delighted at that. But if you get my emails, it's most likely because at one point in time, you made a decision to pursue a better quality of life for yourself, for your family, for your longer term financial security, for the ability maybe to bring time freedom, time flexibility into your life. And the vehicle that you've chosen to do that is property, which is a sensible fucking decision. And at least that's why I assume that you are here in our community. And that's why I assume that you are getting my daily email blogs. And it's why I assume that you tune in to the Property Source and Success Show podcast, unless it's just a case that you just can't get enough of my witty Irish humor. So if all this is true, then at one point in time, you made a firm decision to be more, to have more, to do more with your life by pursuing entrepreneurship, and property was that vehicle. So I'm willing to go out on a limb here and say that at one point in time, you have been misjudged by your circle, and that could be family or friends. If you have put yourself out there in a property capacity, if you have stepped outside of the norm of the boundaries of what is known in your social circle, I will guarantee you that at some point in time, you have been made fun of. I will guarantee you that at some point in time, you have been doubted in your capabilities and your grand illusions of what you believe to be possible. I bet that you've been laughed at behind closed doors. Those people are always my favorite because they can't say it to your face. I bet that you've been told you've changed. Who is the new you? And I bet you that support didn't come freely from the people that you thought in reality it would be a no-brainer from. So here's what I have learned over the last number of years since I decided that I was no longer going to allow the constraints and the bias of others who were around me. I wasn't going to let the people on the playground, the people that I went to school with, the people that were within my family circle, the people that I met within a network and environment, I wasn't going to let those people define what was possible in my life. So here's what I've learned. Number one, people like to see you do well, but not too well. Because frankly, that then makes them uncomfortable and shines a spotlight on how not so well that they're doing because they haven't given it the effort. Some people have an excuse for absolutely everything. And I like to call them the but brigades. But they had more money than I did. But they know more people than me. But they got a start in XYZ. But they had the education behind them. Shut up. Shut up. The second thing that I have learned over the years, guys, is that people, and this one's funny, but people will literally watch every move you make within an inch of their life. They will watch every story you post. They will watch every update that you give. But the real snakes, and I guarantee you, for anybody who has listened to this podcast, whether you're tuning in live or you're listening to this back at some point in time, the real snakes never engage and never applaud where it is seen fit. If you have ever been, I don't want to say victim to it, but if you've ever been in that scenario where you know there are a certain highlight of people, there are a certain group of people, or there's that one person who watches everything that you do, who keeps abreast of all your updates, but can never engage and give you the credit where credit is due, that is a snake. And I want you to be really, really aware of these slippery snakes. And I could call them worse, but for the sake of keeping a PG here, we'll call them slippery snakes. And they're usually waiting in the sidelines for an absolute catastrophic fall from grace and the ability to say, I told you so. The third thing that I have learned throughout the course of my time growing and scaling my business is that people will be fake and people will be phoning. They will smile to your face and they will play Judas behind your back. They will compliment you on your progress. They will compliment you on your wins. They will compliment you on your successes on a one-on-one setting, but they will ridicule you in a group environment. You need to be so aware of who you keep at your table. And it's really no wonder those that are doing the best in business have the smallest circles. The reason these people do this is because they are typically threatened by your progress, although they could never ever tell you that. And they are typically threatened and somewhat envious and jealous of your success. And so talking shit about you in a group environment of losers of the same caliber as them makes them feel better. Let them talk anyway. And the fourth thing that I have come to realize and accept is that when the fruits of your hard work become so hard to ignore, right? When the relentless dog-like work ethic that you actually have but don't get the credit for, when that starts to show itself in the form of the trips that you take, the circles that you spend your time in, maybe it's the car that you drive, maybe it's the home that you have, maybe it's the lifestyle that you've worked so hard to build, maybe it's the places that you spend time at, maybe it's the people that you call friends. When all this starts to appear in public, you will begin to lose friends. So happy new year. Right? It sounds like this is all doom and gloom. I really want to let you know what you can expect when you really start to see the fruits of the labor that you're laying the foundations for now. Because your ambition makes other people uncomfortable. Fact. Your work ethic makes them feel uneasy. Fact. Because your decision to build a life on your terms with big grand visions triggers them. I used to take that shit personally for a long time. I would get bitter. I would allow it to hurt my feelings. I would allow it to anger me. I would allow it to trigger me. The longer that I spend in this world of entrepreneurship, which is actually a term I hate. It sounds so glossy and gaudy and it's anything but. But the more that you realize that the experiences you will have from people as you make your way up the ladder are nothing more than a reflection of how they actually feel about themselves. And it's actually got nothing to do with you at all. I've also come to realize that no one who is doing better than you will ever talk about you because they're too busy being successful in their own lane. So only haters will see it fit to chat shit about you. Let them chat anyway. Not everybody, guys, will be happy for you. Not everybody will support you, and that is okay. So my advice as we start 2025 on a strong foot, my advice to you is to find a small circle of the most driven and successful people that you know and sit in rooms where people discuss ideas and not other people. This really was spurred on by me by a book that I'm reading at the moment, guys. You may be familiar with Mel Robbins. If you're not, you should check her out. She's got a podcast called the Mel Robbins Podcast, but she released a book at Christmas called The Let Them Theory, and I have been absorbing and soaking up absolutely all of it since I got it. If you haven't read that book, if you don't have it on Audible, I highly suggest that you do it. In fact, it was mentioned inside our mastermind this week, and one of the guys found it incredible for kind of freeing those shackles of judgment that he had around them from family and friends. So haters gonna hate. Let them hate anyways. I hope this has been useful, guys. We did step outside the realms of what we typically do on the Property Source and Success Show podcast, but this is important if you genuinely want to shake off the opinions of other people, because I know from coaching hundreds of people over the last 4.5 years, I know that the judgment from others is one of the biggest constraints to people's progress within their property portfolio building businesses. So let them do their own thing. You do you. And I promise you within the next 12 months, if you can shake that off, you will be so much further ahead and they will be in the rear view mirror Hope this has been useful, guys. I will see you all next week for another episode of the Property Source and Success Show. Bye.